Hey, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining us at Born to be Rich podcast. I'm your host, Judy King, and we have a very special guest today, Stacey Foat. Welcome, babe.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. I love the name of this podcast, Born to be Rich.
Yeah, and I'm
I
so
love it.
excited to have you on. Speak, actually, our first guest really going into the topic of conversation around health and how important health is in terms of our richness, especially when we don't have it. It becomes even
Yeah.
more obvious of,
Well, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, you'd have all the money in the world, but if you're unwell, what's the point, hey? Can't
exactly.
enjoy it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I do hear that a lot. And, even my own experience of adrenal fatigue and um, just not feeling like myself and how that's impacted how I've showed up. But anyway, I'm going to hand it over to you and ask you to just introduce yourself and let the listeners know a little bit about yourself and your background. And then we can just explore from there.
Amazing. Okay, guys. So from a qualification point of view, I'm a nutritionist naturopath, but I'm very, very passionate about living life. I mean, I lost my dad to cancer at age 60, and ever since then, it's just been drummed into me even more how important it is to just really understand our health from a preventive point of view, because sometimes chronic illness just jumps up and scares us, and we don't even see it coming. And this is why I've really gone deep in, I guess, a lot of different testing and measuring for prevention. Like that's my biggest passion, prevention. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so true, right? There's so many different elements with our health that we're not aware of that are silently kind of running underneath the
Absolutely.
surface. And I think that's a big thing. I was just literally talking to my brother about that before, like literally 10 minutes ago. We were talking about wills and, having
Yeah.
guardians for trust and
Well,
things. It's like, oh, you
yeah.
never know.
So absolutely. And I mean, it's been largely recognized for a long time that the leading cause of death is cardiovascular disease. And the leading cause of cardiovascular disease is stress. Stress is the silent killer. Like what it's doing to our cells at a cellular level is literally destroying our bodies. And some of us are really good at coping with stress, and we're not even aware that the damage stress is happening in our body either. So it's a big one.
It's so true because I know even within myself, and I've had a really close girlfriend say the same thing where we're like, I'm not stressed, but we don't even realize it. And that can be the same with exhaustion and burnout as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I because especially if you've trained yourself to be, positive thinking, all these things. And I think, okay, you've got this dilemma coming up, but you just like, I trust, you've got this. And then sometimes I'll wake up the next morning and I've obviously been clenching my teeth and I'll have this tension headache. It's like, I didn't realize I was stressed, but my body tells me otherwise.
Absolutely. And I think we can get so, you and I had this conversation. For those listening, Stacey's a client of mine. I'm a client of hers now too. It's a beautiful synergy. But when I came to see you and I was talking to you about, I've got a lot of willpower and, having this chronic adrenal fatigue, I was like, I don't know if I'm tired because I've just
Yeah.
been with it for such a long time. And then when you looked at certain things, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
like really you should be. And then I was like, well, yeah, there's times when I actually am really fucked and I go out for the morning and then I'm like, I can't keep my eyes open or I just need to rest.
Yeah.
But it's easy to not acknowledge that or just to be, oh, it's been a big week, I'm
Absolutely.
tired. But
Yeah.
actually, yeah, it's deeper.
Yeah. When you've got a can do attitude, it's like, you get things done, right? And,
Yeah.
and it, regardless of what the body's telling you.
So tell us more about your own kind of journey with health. How long have you been doing this? Like why
Yeah.
are you
So,
passionate about?
so I think I was definitely a witch in a past life. There's things I know about the human body and herbs and plants and medicine that I don't even know how I know in this lifetime. I just know, I just get the body. So as a 17-year-old, I decided I was going to be a naturopath, and I didn't even know what a naturopath was. So I went to a
Wow.
cruise expo and someone handed me a flyer on naturopathy. And I grew up in a small country town with a very mainstream family. I took this brochure home and I showed my mum and dad. I was like, guys, I'm going to be a naturopath. And they were like, oh, cool. What's a naturopath? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm doing it. This is what I'm going to do. So divine intervention, naturopathy found me. And I've never looked back since. I've been very, very lucky to have been guided to something that I'm super passionate about. So I hit my specific health crisis in my 20s. I was diagnosed as having started menopause at age 27. Essentially, I just hit really bad adrenal fatigue. So my period stopped, my hormones went out the whack, my thyroid stopped. I was, a hot mess. I had chronic eczema all over my body. I had cystic acne on my back. I put on 12 to 14 kilos in a really short space of time. So everything just went to crap basically. And because of my knowledge, I was able to bring myself out of that hole, within 12 months. I had everything reversed and back in check. But it was a big journey because the thing was, I was still actually looking after myself relatively well, obviously burning the candle at both ends. So I wasn't listening to those tired signals. In my 20s, partying a lot, drinking a lot, but, eating really well, exercising, doing a lot of really good things. But what I soon learned, I wasn't living in alignment with my truth, with my values, or even eating the right diet for what my body needed. And so that's been a big part of the work that I do now, really helping them to understand their genetic type and what's actually the right fuel for them. Because, there's no such thing as a one size fits all model. So yeah, so I was also diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, told I would never conceive naturally, went on to conceive naturally. So that was when I really started to specialize in female reproductive disorders and weight management. Hormones are so widespread, right? So from anxiety to weight gain to, all the things. So that's where I've really mostly been settling. As I said, I lost my dad when I was 30. And so that sort of just made me dig even deeper, except explorative tests. So I do a lot of work with genetic testing now, heavy metal testing, and microbiome testing, because they're three things that can be happening silently in the background without you being even aware, but they will literally create chronic illness eventually. So if we can nip those in the bud, that's what I'm really passionate about, and do a lot of that work with my clients now.
Yeah, which was a big eye opener for me, and having really felt like I've been on this journey for about 5 years of trying to understand what was going on with my unexplained weight gain and the fatigue as well, like massive exhaustion, and had some insights, not a lot really, but still felt like, yeah, it didn't seem like anything was really that bad. And then, but internally within me, I felt fucking horrible and is so exhausted. And so it's been this journey of trying different things, not knowing who to go to, not knowing who I can trust. That whole piece has been quite a tricky thing. And
It's really overwhelming.
it
It
is.
really is, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
that's why I love the testing, because it just, what you see is what you get. Then if you've got a clear path to follow, then.
yeah. And, I've been working with a doctor and like got some results, which I shared with you. And then what I've loved about what we've accessed and what we've identified in the heavy metal side of things just feels like, oh, I feel like this is it. I feel like this has given me something to actually really own. And actually I feel like a different person already, because I feel like it's the thing that I need to be focusing on. And so
Yeah,
now I'm motivated. I'm doing the
yeah,
things,
awesome. Love that. Yay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
And
and that's the thing. The overwhelm, like, you end up doing nothing because you don't quite know what your body needs. So when you've got a clear path to follow, it just makes things so much easier.
yeah, so tell us more about like the heavy metal side of things and how you brought that in and why that's so important. Has
Yeah.
that gotten worse over the
Yeah,
years
it
with
has. It's just the world we live in. Unfortunately, it is getting worse and worse. It's heavy metals are in the air, they're in our soil, they're in our food, they're in our water. And the reason they're so damaging is because you, as a cellular being, you're made up of trillions of cells, and every single cell has an electrical charge. And we're vibrating all day, every day. And so when we load metals in that system, they just get on and just mess up that circuit. The brain cannot communicate clearly to your cell when we've got metals in there. It messes up that electrical conduction. Also completely disarms the immune system. So the immune system is like, think of it like the vacuum cleaner of the body. But yes, it fights infections, but the main thing that we should all be celebrating our immune system for is that it is all day, every day, identifying and clearing out precancerous cells. So every single one of us at any time has got cells that are going rogue, so to speak, that they're becoming damaged and inflamed and infected and whatever, and becoming precancerous. But the immune system, like these little vacuum cleaners in your body, they're on the site all day, every day, picking them up, clearing them out. When we throw heavy metals into the system, they just they mutate our immune cells. Our poor little white blood cells try their hardest to grab hold of the metals in order to transport them to our detox organs. But the white blood cell is destroyed in that process. So we have all these white blood cells dying off and the heavy metals just stay in the body. What
Mm.
we see, because I look at the immune system on the microscope, and we start to see enlarged white blood cells, which are full of, like, they accumulate aluminium, and they just become deformed. They become really fatigued and stagnant. And so, of course, the immune system loses its ability to, identify these precancerous cells. And this is why it's such a big issue in the long run.
Wow. And then you've got the minerals as well. So, because I know,
Yeah.
from
So,
something.
I mean, all heavy metals have a specific different evil role they play in the body. Aluminium, we know, for one, settles in the brain, and it's linked to a high incidence of Alzheimer's, dementia, and those sort of, that we're seeing a huge amount of. Antimony, for example, it completely jams up our estrogen receptor sites. So if you've got high aluminium, your body loses estrogen signaling. So we end up with a lot of fluid retention. We usually end up with painful periods, but also it blocks chromium and iodine, and they're the two metabolizing minerals. Okay, your thyroid can't work properly if you're deficient in iodine, and you can't regulate your blood sugar system if you're deficient in chromium. So this is why antimony can be such a big deal. Look at mercury. Mercury completely messes with the digestive system. So most people will end up with digestive symptoms and lungs, asthma symptoms. They're regular infections in the chest, but digestive disturbances because mercury settles in those two organs. So we could go on, but they all have this list of specific areas where they really weaken us. And minerals are, I always say, think of vitamins and minerals like the currency of the body. If you want to use energy, if you want to do something, you basically need to spend your minerals, your currency of your body, to create that energy. And so we become very, very depleted if we're deficient, and then we have this overgrowth of metals, because the more metals you have in your system, your body keeps donating more and more of its minerals and its resources to try and break down these metals. So we get more and more depleted the more metals we have in our system.
So energetically, it's a lot for the body, which can, and then the body's not functioning correctly either.
Yeah, so our organ function just continues to decline every year. Our immune system continues to decline every year. Our cells just become drowned in toxic mess. And so the cell loses its ability to do its job. And every cell in your body has a very unique job, because cells make up an organ, they make up a tissue. And so when they're not receiving the signals, the nutrition, the hydration, because they're so blocked with heavy metals and other toxins for that matter, the cell just starts to break down, and then we get rapid cell death. And our cells are dying, and then so our poor little body's trying to produce more and more cells, but it can't keep up with that uptake, and so disease is inevitable.
Oh, yeah, it's
heavy.
Yeah, it is. It's big. And like everything that you spoke about just then was everything that we spoke about in my session. It's like, and the things that I had high, right? And so what would you say, to females who maybe are just experiencing fatigue, maybe their body, they're starting to notice, because this was the big thing that I experienced, was just starting to notice my body just wasn't working the same as what it used to. And of course, a lot of fatigue. So it could be either or of those things. So what do you recommend for them?
So the first thing that I would be looking at is a test that I do in clinic with my clients, and obviously there's other practitioners around Australia. It's called an oligo scan, and it's a non-invasive, basically like an ultrasound of the hand, and it will specifically measure your vitamin levels, your mineral levels, and your heavy metals. Really quick, on the spot results. Anyone can have it from age 2 up. So it is the first, like the first protocol always, because it doesn't matter what you're dealing with, whether you've got regular headaches or painful periods or weight, whatever. First start is always what's going on with the body. Do we have the available resources to heal? And that's, like these vitamins and minerals. You can't heal anything in the body. You take, all the drugs in the world, or even the herbs in the world, but we can't replace raw material the body needs in the form of vitamins and minerals. So understanding where you're at there, and understanding where you're at with the heavy metals, and starting a heavy metal detox process. A lot of people, like, you read about, oh, this is a heavy metal detox smoothie, or this is, I take zeolites to detox heavy metals, and they don't work. Like, I've been using this oligo scan machine in clinic for about 12 years now, and detoxing heavy metals out of the body is really, really hard. Like people just go, oh, I did a sauna, I got rid of them. But it's a combination of a lot of things to get them out, and monitoring and supporting it, and really supporting it. And a lot of, if you buy heavy metal detox products off the internet or whatever, a lot of them strip the body of minerals. And that's bad news. Like, that's dangerous, really, really dangerous. And so there is a wrong and a right way to do a heavy metal detox, and you want to do it, with the supportive things. So yes, doing infrared saunas to support the heavy metal, and using really supportive chelators and binders that don't bind all your minerals. Having a diet that's supportive, making sure your alcohol intake is low to support that, but supporting all those elimination channels, through exercise, through breath work, through sweating, through movement of your lymphatics. It is a big process. And I don't want to say that to deter everyone, because it can be done. And once you're in a routine, it's pretty easy. But it's like you need to do it correctly, or you can cause more harm than good, because you can trigger autoimmune conditions by trying to move heavy metals without, if your system doesn't have the vitality to do it, and you're not doing it correctly.
Right. And so do you see the heavy metals piece as being a root causal component in a lot of
I wouldn't say it's the primary root cause. It's one very important one, but there's other factors definitely. So our gut microbiome is a big one. So that I mentioned briefly before. Another big testing that I often do with people is a comprehensive stool analysis, because if your gut microbiome is lacking in the beneficial bacteria on all the strains, they play a huge role in metabolizing and processing toxins as well. And the presence of the beneficial bacteria is crucial for your immune system for all these things as well. So an underfunctioning gut microbiome, usually because it's got the overgrowth of parasites or pathogenic bacteria and stuff like that, is a big piece. Nutritional status alongside with the heavy metals. Colon cleansing is a big part of the picture. I do a lot of colon cleansing with my clients, and that's basically just to ensure that the liver can detox properly. Your colon has a permeable membrane, and so all the contents of your colon is basically interchanging with your bloodstream all day, every day. So if our colon is congested, which most people's is, one, you can't grow a healthy gut microbiome, because 80 to 90% of our beneficial bacteria lives in the colon. It gets a bit confused because everyone talks about gut health. So we're like, oh, our gut, but actually it's our colon where our beneficial bacteria mostly live. Other pieces of the puzzle, they're probably the key ones for, yeah.
And so what do you recommend for colon cleanse? Like what do you, in terms of how many, how often, that kind of thing? What?
Beautiful. Yeah. So colonic hydro irrigation is a great process, but again, wasted time if you're not using it with a binder powder. You need to use a colon cleanse powder, and a lot of people make that mistake. Big fan of juice fasting or water fasting or bone broth fasting if you're that way inclined. But again, if you do that without a colon cleanse binding powder, complete waste of your time, and again, you can cause more harm than good. So that there's a very specific way to do a colon cleanse, and it's three key pieces. So the way that I get the best results with my clients, and not everyone can fast, but this is, if you're open for this, 3-day juice fast. Again, you could swap this out for bone broth if you're someone that doesn't do well on high fructose. Colon cleanse powder is the second piece of the puzzle, but you must take this powder 5 times a day. And then the third piece is doing your enemas over that 3-day period as well. Obviously flooding the body with lots of water as well. But the idea of the juice is the enzymes in that juice soften this mucoid plaque that lines the colon. So then you add in the powder, which is like this fiber that swells as it moves through your system. It swells, sticks to that mucoid plaque. It's being loosened by the enzymes in the juice. Then you add in an enema, which stimulates a strong peristaltic contraction that then drags that whole mess out of your body. So I honestly believe everyone should be doing a colon cleanse that way twice a year, 3 times a year, ideally. If that's too overwhelming doing the juice fast, you can just take the powder for a 3-week period, morning and night, and then go and have a colonic at the end of that. And I'd still recommend doing enemas through at that time. I know enemas can be a bit weird and a bit out there for a lot of people. It's a bit of a weird concept, I get it, but I talk about them a lot because they actually work so well. And once you get your head around it, they're actually quite enjoyable. If I do say so myself.
I know, because you're on calls and you're like, just having a coffee. And
yeah, that's right.
So good.
On one of your calls. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you help us get our head around the enemas? What do you tell us a bit more about it? And
okay, cool. So So coffee enemas I do a lot of work with, and a lot of people freak out and think, oh, I can't drink coffee, I'm sensitive to coffee. It's very, very different. But what coffee does, it has, it's a vasodilator. So when you insert the coffee, organic coffee solution rectally, what happens is all the bile ducts of your liver vasodilate, they open up. You retain this liquid coffee solution for a 12-minute period. And in that 12-minute, your entire blood circulates through the liver 7 times. So all the impurities in your blood are now getting trapped in the liver. And because the bile ducts are open, what happens is now we can then just eliminate it all in the toilet. So it's like this instant 12-minute spring clean of the body. Costs you virtually nothing once you've bought yourself a kit, which is reusable. Organic coffee, so it's very, very cheap to do at home. And the effects that you will find on your skin health, on anti-aging, on weight loss, because we're clearing toxins out of the body. So they really support a heavy metal detox process as well. For me, it's kind of like, it's just an internal clean. And it really, really makes such a huge difference on things like brain fog, digestive health, all the things. It's a really simple, cost-effective thing to do if you can get your head around the weirdness of sticking something in your butt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have done a couple of coffee enemas, but I've never stayed consistent with it. But that's changing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just getting a new like hanging thing that is like a better
Do you know
system.
what?
What?
When I do my coffee enema, I suppose do my social media content. So you'll just, I'm writing on my posts while I'm doing my enema. So you just got to multitask.
Babe. Yeah, a manifesting generator here. I don't know about that. I don't know if I might need to do it for like 10 years or however long you've done it first before I at that stage, because I'm just there like feeling really awkward and weird in my body when
so maybe you're putting too much liquid in there. Start with a really small amount of liquid. Like, so the goal is a liter, but no one should attempt that until they've been doing coffee enemas for at least 6 months. So start with 250 mils of coffee solution. Like, it's barely anything. So then you won't get that, oh my God, I gotta go, like where you're freaking out, am I close to the toilet sort of thing. Like, if you just do a really small amount, you'll be fine. You won't have that feeling. Yeah. And also, have a bowel motion first, ideally, then do a water flush first. So just put some filtered water in your enema kit, run that in. As soon as you get the urge to go, just release that. So then you're working with a completely clean and clear system. And then holding that coffee, whether it be 250 mils right up to a liter, is simple.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So doing that flush first, that makes sense. Yeah.
Works really well.
Yeah. Awesome. And so, and it's Arabica organic coffee
Yeah.
So good. Our listeners out there, get into it. I'm getting into it. I'm just about to start mine on the weekend.
I've got videos on my website if anyone needs like a proper demonstration. It's it's, don't worry, they're not graphic videos.
Yeah, I was like, no, we'll have to get that link and we can put it in the show notes. So if people are interested, they can go and check you out and see all the details of how to get going with that. But so, richness is, I think this is probably a silly question for you, seeing as what we're here for and what we're talking about. But what does richness like mean to you? Being rich,
Yeah, look, energy and connection are 2 really beautiful things. Like just being happy day to day. And I mean, I love this, that saying, money doesn't buy happiness. Well, bullshit, it does. I don't care what anyone says. But I also want someone I really, really love and connect with to share my money with, right? So for me, my values are having the energy, vitality to live life and to share it with someone that you love. So I guess that's my richness. Yeah.
Absolutely. And when it comes to energy, I think this is such a good point, and I love this as being something that we value and that's important, as well as health, right? It's like, energy, because I see, the importance of vibrancy and how that the energy to in many areas, right? That energy can just lead over into the energy in our relationships, the energy in our business, the energy in our adventure and fun and play with our children and things like that. It's such a key element when it comes to richness. And I love that you've spoken into that, and
Yeah.
it encompasses health, of course, as well, right? Like,
Yeah. But I must admit, I'm learning so much more than I ever did about energy through your beautiful human design, because it's so true. Like, this whole concept of leaking energy, when we're giving too much energy to something that we're not supposed to, that it's like, it's not your passion or something. And that's something I'm really observing as well. Things we're doing out of obligation versus things that really light us up, and learning to respond instead of react. It's been a game changer for me, because I've always been a yes girl. Say yes to everything, and then it rolls around a week later, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. And then I have to rock up and do it anyway, or let people down because I said yes, and then actually I don't want to do that. So it's really cool.
it is really cool. Yeah. And I love that you've like really see the power of that, and how energy, we can look at it from so many different elements, right? There's the energy of how am I using my energy? What am I saying yes to energetically?
Yeah.
What am I saying no to, etc. And then of course there's the energy from the perspective as, does my body have what it needs for me to have the have the energy as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love how it kind of all um the many influences actually that we can bring in to support us with having rich energy. Oh, I love this. I love this so much. And what else, like in terms of women creating richness in their health and their energy and their vitality? Any other tips? Any other recommendations?
Well, look, I'm a big believer in, so hormonal change is actually one of the biggest gifts that we can get as women. So in particular, that PMS window in the lead up to our period, or the entire process of perimenopause, when the periods start to go a little bit haywire, because we feel things so much more deeply when our hormones are imbalanced. And it's not even they're imbalanced, they're just changing, and they're meant to change. And they're so, we're meant to have imbalanced estrogen progesterone in that lead up to a window, because when we're in that stage of our cycle, we actually feel things so much more deeply. And society would have us believe we're just crazy and we're super sensitive and we're all this, but it's like, no, actually we're just getting real information about our environment and our world, and where we need to set better boundaries, or where we need to say no to things, or where we need to actually honor our body more, or like, it's real information. I have so many women go, oh my god, every month I feel like I want to divorce my husband, and then 3 days later I'm fine again, and then it keeps rolling around every month. And it's like, there is still some truth to what you're feeling. You aren't crazy. Like, there's information available to you in what he's doing that's pissing you off, that you get to have a conversation about, that you get to navigate with him, where you get to set a better boundary or something. And so rather than just fobbing it off like, oh my god, I'm crazy, I'm hormonal, I'm emotional, like, let's actually really learn a process of understanding it. And I know you do a lot of work around that as well, because I've loved the work that you've sent through that we've been doing together. And it's like, I love it. I love that premenstrual time, because I give my husband the best talkings to at that time, in terms of, this is what I want, this is what I need, blah, blah, blah. And because I've learned to deliver it in a heart open, feminine way, rather than, oh, you do this, you do that. It's like, he responds and goes, cool, thanks for letting me know, let's do this, or, and it gets to be this time where you get to create deeper connections. But we've got to drop the whole, oh, I'm just crazy, oh, I'm just being mental, oh, I'm just being too sensitive. It's like, no, you're actually just getting the message loud and clear.
I love this conversation so much, babe, because I can really relate to this as well. Like, I have noticed that in my relationship in that time, yeah, it just really heightens the things that maybe I've been sweeping under the rug,
Yep.
not speaking into and not acknowledging. And then I have this moment and emotional authority as well, as are
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And my wave, I'm just like, it just goes to its peak, and I literally just want to like completely run away. I'm
Yeah.
like, I just
Yeah.
want to live on my own and like not have anyone
Absolutely.
around me,
Yeah.
But I love how it's like emotions, right? It's feedback. It's feedback that there's something there for us, as is this. It's so, can you tell us from that hormonal perspective, what is it that's changing that heightens our
So when we're looking at premenstrual,
yeah,
like in
yeah.
relation to the period, so we get a rise in our progesterone,
Okay.
and the subsequent drop in estrogen just before the bleed. That's what's
Right.
happening at a physical level. And what actually happens is, in that window, our our conscious mind, basically the filter between our conscious mind and unconscious mind is virtually non-existent. So
Right.
everything and anything in our unconscious mind is up to the forefront. So we can't suppress anything, we can't hide from anything anymore. Our
Yeah.
beliefs shine true
Yeah.
and
That's
you
how it
can't deny
feels.
them. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't deny them. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah. So it's like, it's very easy to just put on a brave face and ignore that inner voice, what, 3/4 of the month. But
Yeah.
we can't in that window. And you're not meant to. Like, it's vital
Mm.
information that could save your life because it's information about what you need for your body. It's information about, if we learn to understand it then and there, have the hard conversation with your husband or whatever, put the boundary, ask what you need or express what you need versus ignore it for 20 years and then end up getting a divorce because you just hate each other because you've disconnected more and more every year. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just want women to see it as a superpower. Like, whereas so many, and I hear so many women, like even my sister the other day, we were chatting and she was telling me something about a period. And I was like, oh, well, you're 41 now. You will be noticing some perimenopausal changes. And she's like, oh, my life is over. And I was like, why do we think this? Like it's not the end of the world. It's just a beautiful rite of passage.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just because this is what happens through perimenopause. All your shit that you haven't dealt with, all your suppressed trauma or your suppressed emotions, that is what's going to surface through perimenopause. And so when women talk about having these midlife crises and all this stuff, it's like, it's just the shit you didn't deal with. So if we learn to deal with it month by month through our period, perimenopause will be a breeze.
I'm laughing because it's so true. I'm like, oh, the last 5-ish years that I've probably been going through it, I've had to deal with the deepest things.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
And let's look at that as like how beautiful, because you dealing with those deeper things means it's not going to show up as cancer
Yeah,
5-10
totally.
years down the track. And
Fuck
this is
yeah.
what so many people just think, oh, the surface, it's so uncomfortable in the data. And it is. I get it because I've had plenty of meltdowns. Like I'm a very emotional person. And I have a meltdown. I think, oh my God, like how? And then when you learn the process of really sitting with it and inquiring it and asking yourself, connecting with, but where does this come from? What does it actually mean? What do I need to know? And then you can journal it out, whatever. And you get the aha moment. You're like, oh, it's okay. I don't have to lose my husband. I don't have to quit my job,
Yeah.
but see it as it's life-saving, this stuff. Like, it really is. It's stopping you from being sick down the track. And that's
So
why,
beautiful. And to
yeah,
say it's our superpower, I love that as well. And I think also it's being able to honor the phases and the stages and the seasons and everything, right, in our evolution. And I've got friends who are already in past menopause and now they're like, these are the best years of my life,
yeah,
and
yeah. I've heard so many people say that. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like, wow, it's different. And we're going to evolve. We're going to change. That's guaranteed.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we also have that to look forward to.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I find is a clear like common denominator between women who are really getting like smashed by perimenopause symptoms, women who can't surrender to change.
Yeah.
Like, it is a change in your cycle, things are changing. And if you just relax and surrender that and allow, you're going to breeze through it. But if you're trying to control absolutely everything and everyone in your world, menopause is going to suck. So it is the art of surrender.
Yeah, I love, yeah, so potent, such an opportunity, right? And the art of surrender.
Mm. And also know that if you're willing to look within and sit with your emotions, you can manifest and create so much more for your life. Like, I always think that there's a direct correlation between manifesting and creation and our hormones. If
Yeah.
you understand how to use them, like, whereas society's taught us to suppress the uncomfortable, stuff our face with chocolate or alcohol or online shopping or whatever our vices, we've all got them, and ignore the uncomfortable feeling. Whereas if you can do beautiful practices like yoni steaming or meditation, journaling, there's so many beautiful things to actually feel the uncomfortable. It also gets to pass really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It really does.
Mm.
It's an invitation in to deepen our relationship with ourselves and be with our emotions. And yeah, that's so important. I was at the markets, Noosa markets, a couple of weeks ago, and I was chatting with my mate who owns Seedy Sisters, and I was just chatting with him about weight and all the things. I was like, oh, I'm making some changes to my food, and hence why I'm buying some of this flour that I've never used before.
Yeah.
And anyway, him and his wife, I'm really good friends with his wife, and so he's like, oh yeah, Kira's going through it as well. And then there was this other lady that was there, and she was like, oh, it's not just me, me and my
No.
girlfriend were talking about it the other day, and she's in her early 40s. She said, well, just 41, I think. And yeah, we were just talking about how our body's just not kind of working the same. And I also, one of the things that I used to say back when I was going through it in the early stages of really feeling really confronted with all these changes that were happening in my body, so early 40s, I was like, why aren't women talking about this? Like,
Yeah.
why don't I know that this is what I'm going to go through, which is why I was so excited to bring you on. And hopefully there's some younger women that are listening that are going to hear this, because it's so important. And I just think we don't kind of have those elders, and I know my mum didn't really feel that comfortable with talking about it in that generation. It wasn't really the thing that we spoke about as much. So it's still very, I feel it's still very new in the sense of
Yeah.
understanding and
I
be,
would definitely agree with that. Yeah. Because I mean, I've always been quite an open person, but you forget that not even many women even feel comfortable talking about their periods. And especially if you're working in workplaces that are more male dominated and stuff like that, it is a bit taboo. Whereas I've always just been like, oh, everyone knows I've got my period. I'm just flashing my tampon around or something like that. But it is such a private thing for so many people that, like, there's shame for a lot of people around it.
yeah, I
And
even felt that. Yeah, for
mm,
sure.
yeah, like,
Because
ew, gross.
when I first got my periods when I was 14, I was at my girlfriend's place and I was so embarrassed because I
Yeah.
was, some people get it at school and whatever else. And Curtis was telling me the other day, do you think we need to have that conversation with Brooklyn? She's 9. I'm like, yeah, probably. Girls are getting it
Yeah,
way
it's getting
earlier.
younger. Yeah.
Yeah.
So historically, we used to get our periods like 100 years ago, like at age 18, and it's girls are getting as young as age 8 now. And it's the same as it's considered perimenopause starts from age 40 onwards now. It used to be 50.
Wow.
And that is concerning because of the vast amount of estrogenic chemicals that are in our environment, and heavy metals. Just like our bodies, because everyone goes on and on about, oh, we're living longer. We're not actually. We're actually not. And that's what people don't understand. Like, we used to live till 120 going back 100 years ago. And
Mm.
now, our lifespan is getting shorter and shorter. And our reproductive years are getting less and less. So it is this another reason why, do the emotional work, but also cleanse the body, detox the body, do coffee enemas.
Yeah, and as I was asking you about getting Brooklyn's heavy metals tested as well, so I was also curious. I wanted to ask you. I'm assuming that they can also be passed down through DNA
Yeah,
and through
100%.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something that's a thing, right?
Definitely transgenerational. So, I mean, look, there's not a lot of awareness for women about doing a preconception cleanse, is there? But what people don't
No.
understand, your baby's genetic potential is determined in the 3 months leading up to before conception takes place. So the health of the sperm and the health of the egg is based on how nutritionally sound you've been and what exposure to toxins in the 3 months before it takes place.
Wow.
And so, I get so many women text me, yeah, I'm pregnant. What should I start taking? I'm like, well, you should have started taking that 3 months ago, but, we can only do what we can do.
Yeah.
So, like, we really need to preconception. And there's so many women also, again, not no one's fault, but it's just, jump off the pill, get pregnant. And then these poor babies are just full of these synthetic estrogens because you really need to detox off the pill. Like, they say you should be off the pill for 2 years before you conceive, which that rarely
Really?
happened. Yeah, 2 years. It takes 2 years to naturally detox it out of your system. Obviously, you can fast track that by taking specific herbs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a big issue. Like, we have, and this is, again, women tend to put on a lot of weight through pregnancy because of the estrogen dominance. And it's a lot of fluid retention. But if you just did a bit of preconception cleanse, well, that can be avoided.
Oh,
Mm.
so interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely didn't do a cleanse. We weren't planning, so that was a
No, and that's, of
surprise.
course, and that is like that
Yeah.
happens a lot too, which is
Yeah.
beautiful. I love it. I
Yeah.
love surprise babies, but yeah, it's just there's no awareness around that, and it does affect your pregnancy, um, and yeah, it does unfortunately pass on to bub. Yeah.
Awesome. So, any last words of wisdom for beautiful women who are tuned in, hopefully still here and fully engaged, because this conversation is so good. I'm loving it.
Oh, look, my parting wisdom is just find whatever you can, do whatever work you need to do to just learn how to love yourself. Like, it's so simple, but it is so profound, and it's an ongoing battle. Like, I probably love myself the most I ever have, but I still look in the mirror sometimes and go, oh, got my 40-year-old saggy bum. Or, we're constantly passing judgment on ourselves, and we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, and we're constantly putting too much on our workload. And I think if we could just love ourselves a little bit more, and just life would be better in general.
Absolutely. It's the core of everything, right? Like, and I know for me, my process of this, like gaining this weight and what I've navigated through this, has actually taken me through the depths of the pain of the emotions like shame and resentment and a whole heap of emotions, but also what it's doing. I'm not 100% there yet, but I'm very close. What it's done and what it's doing is taking me into a deeper place of love for myself.
Yeah, beautiful. I love
And,
that.
I think the work that you do is so important and so powerful and so needed. And anyone who's on the Sunshine Coast needs to go and check out Stacey. We'll have all of the information to contact her and follow her work in the show notes. But I think the more we can understand what's going on inside of our bodies and within our bodies too, the more compassion we can bring to it as well. I know that's been just a little piece for me as well in this last week since I saw you last week, like a week and a bit ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And I work online for people who aren't local to the Sunshine Coast as well. I have a coaching program, an 8-week transformation program that we can put you through as well to help you connect with your body and your hormones and detox it step by step too. So it does. And my thing, my business is Balance Babes. And like I said, I'm passionate about living life and experiencing it all and living the human the experience. Like, we were given taste buds and I want to eat it all and taste it all. So for me, it's about biohacking our way through without having to sacrifice everything that we love as well. It's really, really important to me to live life and still enjoy, but whilst doing it from a place of respect for the body.
Beautiful. And just before we wrap up, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a transmission, even though you've already been receiving some of the magic of human design inside of In Her Authority. But for those, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to just give you a little piece here. As I mentioned, Stacey is manifesting generator, emotional authority, 6/2 profile. And one of the things that is actually like a really big piece for our prosperity, it's like, I call it a profit. It's like profit potential within our chart. And this is what I'm just honing in on right now. It's gate 54. It's classified as the unconscious sun. And it's kind of how we're perceived by others and a big part of our role in the world. And this gate is very much around prosperity. It's like, and as I look at you, I like that's how I see you. It's like this prosperity seeker, someone who's here to live the best, the fullest, the most expansive fullness and prosperous life in all things. And this is what this gate is like, which is why it's like, oh, well, that's
Yeah.
standing out to me and I need to speak into it. And it's that energy of ambition and drive. And there's a deep knowing within this, and something that I see within you too, of the inner knowing of that all paths, like the witchiness within you, right? Everything kind of leads to us being our divine selves. And it's like empowered to master the material world, like mastery of energy and time and money and resources as a way for our own spiritual growth and development. And the shadow element of it, and the thing to be aware of, is that kind of blind ambition that can often lead to this sense of dissatisfaction or a sense of, where am I going? Like, what am I doing this for? Bitterness around it. And something to be aware of, because sometimes what can happen if we're operating in the low expression of this energy is giving up, giving up on things or giving up on things too quickly even. So when you're in that high expression of it, like that's a really key profit potential for you. And I just want to
Thank
remind you
you.
of your potency and your
I
power.
love that. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
definitely loving all things human design. And well, what I got from it from you very much is, let's working smarter, not harder, by focusing on your strengths and all that sort of stuff, which is exactly what I do with women when I map out their genes, for example, right? These are your weaknesses. Let's focus like so. It'll make sense.
It works so beautifully.
Mm,
Yeah. Exciting.
yeah.
Thank you so much for your time and energy today, babe.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love it. I love the good opportunity to rant about the things I'm passionate about.
And I'm sure everyone has got so much from this and some ideas and spark some things. And hopefully they'll reach out to you and you'll have the opportunity to.
Definitely, I want you all to reach out to me and tell me about your first coffee enema experience. We can laugh about it together because I've heard some awesome stories and they always make me laugh. I've coached so many people through their first enema over the phone. They're like, where do I put it? It's going everywhere. What do I do? And I'm like, just laughing. It's the best.
Love it. All right, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode.